Hi folks, another quick video sticking with this theme of feedback. Maybe it's just on my mind, but this one is about owning your experience. It's a phrase that I got from a friend of mine. Michael Porcelli does a lot with authentic relating and communication stuff. It applies a lot to feedback. Oh man, it applies a lot. It really helps, though as a general concept, it has a lot more utility. What does it mean? Owning your experience means saying things like, this is going to sound so silly, I think, yada, yada, yada. Seems to me, yada, yada, yada. Right? I remember. So instead of saying, you said that you were going to send that to me tomorrow, you say, I think you said you were going to send it to me tomorrow. Instead of this would be better if we, it becomes seems to me it would be better that we, right? So instead of kind of stating things as facts, you're just kind of providing the acknowledgement of the subjective reality. Another way of saying this, it's kind of a really good way of saying it, is you're making it inarguable. Oh, I get so excited. Inarguable, folks, inarguable, right? If you say it was this, right, that was late, versus I think it was late, seems to me it was late, I remember it being late, all those different things, it's very easy to get into some conflict or argument. You might not, but when you say things, when you're owning your experience, and you're locating it within your own subjective reality, people can't argue with that, right? They can't argue that you think that. They can't argue that it seemed to you or that you observed or the mental model you were using, right? All of these different ways of, it is kind of like I statements, but not necessarily always done this way, though it usually helps, right? It seems to me, I remember, I recall, however you want to own your own subjectivity and own your own experience, and saying it in a way that makes it inarguable really kind of greases the wheels of interaction. There's so many ways in which, when we get into interactions with each other, awkwardness, conflict, discomfort can arise. People start to retreat and contract away from each other, sapping our connection. When you speak inarguably, when you speak in such a way that you're owning your experience, it seems to me, I think, I recall, I remember, and you sprinkle, it's a lot of like how I think about it, like snow falling or like, salt, seasoning, like a meal or something. Like you sprinkle this owning your experience around. Of course, it doesn't have to be accompany every statement that you make. I think, I recall, seems to me. But you'll be amazed at the benefit of doing it both for yourself and for the other person. The benefit for yourself is it helps you kind of get, it's like a safety check from getting kind of too carried away, potentially, right? And reminding you that you just have your own perception of events. And even if, you are dead certain that this is the way it was, right? Even just saying that, I am dead certain, right? The way I think about it, I have zero doubt that this is the way it was. But notice the difference between me saying the way I think about it, I have zero doubt, right? Versus like, I have zero doubt. Even that, right? It's still an I statement, right? But it's really kind of almost like making a stand, entrenching yourself, putting yourself in a position to be confronted, right? Byron Katie has this great line, the first act of war is defense. And I think this is kind of what she means, right? When you kind of take a certain kind of rigid stance to something, you're almost inviting conflict to occur. When you own your experience, you are kind of being able to make a clear stance. You're still able to clarify the strength of your conviction or the strength of your opinion, but while avoiding the unintended consequences often of, kind of standing in such a way as to invite people to kind of attack you back or push you down or defend back and try to kind of argue and debate. So that's the key. Owning your experience, it applies a lot to feedback, but is, I think, generally helpful anytime you're having an interaction with somebody in which kind of emotions might be kind of a little heightened. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Talk to you next time.